fucking go time now. Oh, sorry. Folks, it's time for another race. This weekend we're racing Dirty Jutland, the 130k route. Competition is a little less stiff at this race, so me and my buddy Rasmus is actually anticipating to sit in the front group most of the day, hopefully all day. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Right now I'm just setting up the DJI to give you guys some good race footage. This time I'll try and not use up all the batteries before the end, as I'd like to get the final stretch of this race. But yeah, the beginning is going to be so crazy. This race is again 130k. However, there's only 300 meters of elevation and it's on the west coast, so it's going to be pretty windy, I'm guessing, and it's super fucking cold today. But yeah, no hills to do any difference on, so we'll just see how the race unfolds. I'm guessing that we're gonna go full gas on every gravel segment, so that's gonna be wild, I think. And the start is just going to be full gas, stretching it out from the get-go, I'm thinking. So it's gonna be great. Right now I'm setting up the cam, gonna meet up with Rasmus, and then we're gonna ride out to the start and get ready. Let's go. Woo! Fucking go time now. I don't know if you can hear me for the wind. It's on the west coast. Oh my god. See how cold it is? So cold. And it's been raining for the last hour, so it's fucking wet. We got a puncture today, that's for sure. I'm gonna meet up with Rasmus now, and we're gonna roll for the start. Let's get this party started. Let's go. We are another gravel race into the season, and this time it was a almost a local race. I mean, it's happening in the backyard of where I'm from, in North Jutland. That was pretty sick, racing those roads. It's 130k on gravel again. I remember this race to be a lot less gravel than what we did at Dirty Sunday, but my oh my, there was a lot of gravel on this route, I gotta tell you. And the winds were crazy this year. Not crazy in a bad way, like we had lots of headwinds. It was like we had a tailwind at some point, and I was like, what? And that played a big role on the beach this year. Man, oh man. But anyway, let me talk you through the footage. The start actually started out way slower than we had anticipated. Rasmus just made it to the front and kept the pace all right high. I mean, we're just chilling, it felt like, here in the start. Also why I'm putting my nose out in the front, because it didn't really make a difference. But yeah, we hit this small little lake on the road where it kind of gets a bit into a bottleneck. So it stretches the field out a bit, and I'm like in, I don't know, 12th position. It's all right. It's what happens. But now you can see that we picked up the pace quite a lot. And I'm hitting potholes all over, just praying to not puncture. I actually thought that I got through the day without any punctures, but when I came home and washed the bike, there was sealant all over the bike. So yeah, shout out Orange Seal for keeping me running. So as you can see now, I'm actually in like 10th position still. But I'm not panicking, as I was looking at this guy on the white Specialized Crocs coming through the frame right there. And I just wanted to be on his wheel, as I've heard from Rasmus that he was strong. So the main people were him and Morten, who's probably just at the front fucking flying. Almost got side-roaded right here, getting into the next gravel section, where Rasmus unfortunately punctured. And yeah, I actually didn't see him for the rest of the day, so that was kind of a shame. We thought that we could race this race together. He lives in Aalborg, so yeah, it's a rare opportunity that we get to race each other. But then we made it out to this road section. I think it was like 1 kilometer or something, until we made it onto the third section of gravel, where the pace again picked up just a little bit. I kind of had to try and find my position going through this roadblock. Almost all of these gravel sections started with a roadblock. Next year, I know this, and we'll probably try to take a front going into these sections, as it just costs a little bit of energy. Anyway, but we rolled through this section. Yeah, I took my turns, and there we go. This is Morten. Every time he's on the front, you can see now the pace is a bit higher than when everyone else was pulling. He really wanted to make this race hard from the get-go. We met each other last year, where I believe that he came in second. So yeah, he's there to win it. That was awesome to have him just going at it. Now rolling into the fourth section of gravel, again under the roadblock. We just made it through this one, rolling nice and fast. I think we averaged around just under 34 kilometers an hour for the day, so that was pretty sick. But yeah, now we move on to the beach. The beach is where the battle began. As you can see, everyone was kind of hesitant to go to the front. I think that people knew that this beach is often a terrible headwind, so no one wanted to take the pole. But we make it out there, and it's a goddamn tailwind. And I'm just talking to this guy, Tobias, on the Specialized Crocs. I'm like, so good that it's a tailwind. I've been suffering the last 2 years on this beach, having a headwind. And then Morten just goes to the front and absolutely destroys the field. Because when you're in a headwind, there is no shelter being on the wheel, so it's basically just a watt per kilo moving you forward. And as you can see, I kind of tried to stick onto Pierce's wheel as he flew past me, but then they move up the beach, and I just get into some loose sand and loses his wheel. So I catch on or latch on to these two guys who were also trying desperately to follow Morten and Tobias, but yeah, it was tough. As I mentioned, there's no shelter behind these two guys, so I was just suffering. As I see this guy coming up on the right, I thought that it was attack, so I absolutely railed it. And as you see, my speed picked up, so I just thought, now I'm gonna close this fucking gap. So I gave it my all, like I rode as hard as I could, all the way up to these guys just flying through the water. Didn't give a shit about if I were to crash. I just needed to get up there, and I gave it my all. Like, this was such a hard effort. Eventually I make it up there, but I've said this 100 times already, there was no shelter. So yeah. The beach was very sandy and very loose sand at a lot of points this year actually, so we tried to move down towards the water, but as we got down there it just got so sticky, and again you just needed to push some serious watch to follow the guys. And a little gap opened up. I kind of closed it when they got up the beach again and then into this water section, but as you see here, I'm just trying to stay upright on the bike through this loose sand, and Morten is just way up the road. I tried to follow Tobias's wheel, but eventually I just had to give up. He was too strong. And now the gap just grows and grows. But then I look back and I was like, okay, it's a fucking big gap, like backwards. So I just put it in a big gear, stand up to try and get some speed into the bike, and I give it my all to try and catch these guys again. And again, this is a Hail Mary, absolutely swinging for the fences. Eventually make it up to them again, and I stick with them until we make it off the beach, which was a big victory. I did not think that I could hang with these guys on the beach, but yeah, we did. As soon as we get off the beach, we just hit this road section for a little bit, and then we're on to another gravel section. In this section we pass through some riders for longer distances who started at 8 o'clock. And that makes some trouble for me. As we get into the single track, you can see the guys in front of me get through it. But then we hit this giant rock. I don't know how I survived this, but suddenly we're going like 38 kilometers an hour, and suddenly there's this big ass rock in front of me. And there was no time to react, so I just tried my best to ride over it and stayed on the bike. Yeah, so sorry to do this so dangerous. I just tried to follow the group. But yeah, now another big gap was to be closed, and I'm the only man to do it, as I'm the only man who fall off the group again. So again, just in the biggest gear I've got, and I just rode with all I've got once more. Big thanks to my dad who came out and watched me race. That was cool. Eventually I closed this gap once again. So we make it onto another gravel section after just a bit of road again, and Morten is just on the front giving it his best to try and make this race as hard as possible. Now the race gets funky, because all of those people are not in the same race as we are. They are racing the longer distance, the 220, where there are some crazy hitters. And yeah, we just hit this bumpy grass section and they're just flying, like they were riding 40 kilometers an hour. Unfortunately, I didn't get footage of this, but they were riding 40 kilometers an hour out of a grass bumpy section where I almost couldn't sit on the bike. This was mad. So yeah, as you can see, the gap isn't that big, like you can see at the end of the screen right here as we approach this corner. But then I see that there's another gravel section coming up, and yeah, they're obviously trying to drop the 130 guys, me included, and that they succeeded in that definitely.
I totally lost contact with the group. We linked up with the lead group from 220 kilometers, and they just smashed it on a very bumpy grass section, and yeah. I just had to let them go. So now I'm on my own. Let's go.
So now I'm on my own. I just put it on the gas, and like I was alright with another day alone in the saddle. I've done this plenty of times now. It doesn't scare me that much anymore, especially because the winds weren't too bad. But then I made 3 bad turns, wrong turns, and the group behind us catched up with me. So now I'm in a big group again until we hit an aid station where 4 of the people go into the aid station, and we are 4 people going right through it. And I just stayed with these 3 other guys for the remaining day, and we had super good, like we were collaborating very, very well. Like we were just rolling through the terrain, basically giving it our best. That was super cool, keeping the pace high. And now we're into the last couple of kilometers, and I'm in the perfect position because there's one guy on the front, there's 2 guys in front of me, one guy on the front who eventually drops out in a minute. But yeah, let's just see what goes on in the last couple of kilometers. I can say that the kilometers before this, like the end, my legs were non-existing. Like I was really hurting, and I was like, how am I going to survive this little hill? I tried to just make sure that I didn't get boxed in or an attack came from the behind, but I had no legs left. I really gave it my all on the day, especially those 4 or 3 big searches just pulled my legs apart. But I knew that as soon as we'd hit the tarmac, it was time to go. So you see this guy's pulling out now, just before the tarmac section. And as soon as we go on to the tarmac, I'm thinking I go left, but then he blocks it and I go right. And I just ride as hard as I can. Now keep in mind, I've done this race 2 times before, but I just can't seem to remember the end. I think I've done this corner wrong so many times, so I should go right there. But as you can see, I go straight, and now I realize it. Fortunately, 2 other people followed me, but the guy in front of me, he took the right turn. So you can now see in the screen that he comes out right now. And yeah, that's just a big gap to close. Maybe if I could remember how many turns there was left, I could have gave it a bit more juice. But yeah, I was fried. Like this is also after almost 4 hours of going full gas on gravel. So yeah, but I'm really proud of this race still. I finished 5th. Didn't have any problems or as many problems with my nutrition strategy this time. Less caffeine did the job and more water, so that was good. And yeah, I came through the race without any mechanicals. That's a big win, as I've been struggling this winter with a lot of mechanicals, I think. Yeah, all in all, great day, great group that I got into at last. And yeah, thank you so much for watching another race, and I'll see you in the next one. Make sure to subscribe and like. Bye.